Right now, Ryan's going to tackle a bunch of the questions that we've gotten in the Q&A. If the three panelists want to turn their cameras on, Ryan, I'll let you lead this effort.
All right, innovators, thank you so much. Wow, this is thrilling for me. So we'll start with Maggie. So you answered it in the Q&A. Thank you very much. But I wanted to also let you go ahead and talk about this out loud. Do you see, this is from Chris Reagan, do you see government IT telework capability as current result of PMS? If so, how do you recommend we attack the problem and gain leadership support and associated resources and counter the perception we're attacking the people and avoid degenerating the issue into a food fight?
So great question. Short answer, yes. In my experience, most things can be traced back to culture and systems and processes and all of that, right? So when in doubt, blame PMS. There's a lot we can do about it. So NAVSEC Girl Squad, and I, not to overly highlight what we're doing, but just because that's what I can speak to with authority, we are doing something called NAVSEC Girl Squad Goes Antiviral. So we provide professional development, continuing ed, PME, as well as kind of like more personalized support to our members. And we do that virtually and in person regularly, in normal times. Right now, that's all virtual. So NAVSEC Girl Squad Goes Antiviral is a programming kind of situation where all of our stuff is now completely virtual, both live and on demand, and it's free. So generally though, when you're dealing with any sort of problem, it helps to just kind of ask people what they need, right? So one of the things we did in November with our partner Guidehouse was work with an academic at the University of Alabama to complete an IRB approved survey to better understand what are the challenges of people entering the field once they're in, what challenges are they facing, and if they choose to leave, why. And so we kept the survey open for about 10 days and had 871 responses to 72 different questions. And we check in with our members pretty regularly and just kind of ask them like, hey, what do you need? So in my experience, if you are dealing with a problem, maybe just ask people what's not working, right? So some of the challenges we're hearing is the belief that, oh, you're working from home, so therefore you're more flexible. No, especially when you're talking to women who are disproportionately responsible for responsibilities for home and kids and all of that. Like, people are not less busy than they were a month and a half ago. So this is a long-winded answer and I apologize, but ultimately what I'm saying is like, just ask people. Second of all, in terms of gaining leadership support, don't overthink it, right? Like, we are all in this business for the same reason. We're all here because we want to make the world a better place, and we want to make sure that America is as secure, stable, and prosperous as possible, and we want to support our friends and allies. And again, kind of going back to this idea of NAVSEC Girl Squad and competent diversity not being about window dressing, but being about that core mission. If you can frame it in that way, right, that you want to support your people so they can be as competent and capable and efficient and lethal and ready and agile and resilient as possible, anybody who can't get on board with that just needs to get the fuck out of the way. That's my answer.
Yeah, well, just ask and don't worry about a no. No, I love that. Thanks, Maggie. I appreciate that. Next question, Ken, this will be over to you. This is from Devin Smiley. Can you talk more about the customer side of shared responsibility model more? The institution still talks about that in a very binary manner without much detail.
Sure. So the hard parts to really think through, especially in context to what we had to lock down on the defense side, is that for the longest time, the documentation was really sparse about what do we need to do in terms of what security parameters we have to apply. But it became more and more clearer as the publication for the DoD's cloud security guidance became much more verbose about what you have to lock down. And then it becomes down to lessons learned. So this specifically comes down to what you know that each cloud service provider, CSPs, do by default. So example, right? If you go to Google's cloud platform, they do crypto and lock everything down by default, unlike AWS, where if you have an S3 bucket, it's open to the world unless you yourself lock it down. So this is the difficult conversation about, you really do need people, professionals in the cloud space that understands the security implications well and what this all means. And you also want to have a team that pen tests it. You want an outside perspective to come in and make sure that you're not leaving something out in the open that you're not aware of. Like every big hack that occurs on AWS or anywhere else, or any cloud service provider, isn't a hack so much as a security vulnerability. It's not even a vulnerability, it's just a bad security setting. So when it comes to the shared security of the customer and what we have to be responsible for, really is being mindful about what data you have out there in the world and what you don't intend to publish. That's about, and you just have to be A, mindful, but B, get the skill set necessary. Don't try to wing it. This is how you get the terrible data leaks. Hope that answers your question. If not, please comment in the Q&A.
No, great response. And don't go anywhere because it looks like there's one a little bit further down the line. Right over to Ben now. This is from Sean Bertholf, and I apologize for any attendees if I butcher your name. Sincerely sorry. Question for Ben. I'm really interested to understand more about what you meant when talking about how do we better utilize reservists by utilizing digital?
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, so this is an open project. So we are still trying to scope this. We hope that we might have a recommendation ready for our end of June public meeting, but this is going to be similar, at least at the start, of what we believe will follow in the lines of the workforce now. So we've got active duty talent. They've got a certain set of skills where they, for the most part, are not able to apply those and be supported for a career in some of those digital skills. On the reservist side, though, we've got a lot of people that are reservists, and they do super cool things on their in their private sector job, and they might not be able to find opportunities to apply those within the reserve when they're doing their reserve force. So, you know, there's a lot of ideas floating out there. We're hoping to talk to a lot of folks. How do we make our reserve force more accessible, more kind of on demand, more instant connection and matching? So if you've got any ideas or you just want to highlight some of the challenges, please email out to us. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Ben. On that note, personally, I am talking and working with folks actively working that problem. So you can certainly expect a reach out from me. Moving on, Ben, I think this is to you as well. So this is from Bill Kozlowski. For C2 machine-to-machine, are you specifically looking at inter-service data link sharing or something on a broader scale? For reservists, are you looking at digital initiatives for drilling to mitigate cross assignment or bolstering the BYOD programs that have already been released?
Well, this will be a short answer, Bill. For the C2, that is the other side of the house. I do the workforce behavior culture stuff. All the other stuff, the hard tech stuff, gets done by some other folks. So if you want to email me, I would be glad to connect you, and they could kind of give you a little bit more information and see if you can tie into that project. And then again, on the reservists, this is an open project. So we're just going to try to see if there are any recommendations that it is worth DIB making on this space, if we can add some value in trying to improve the connections for reservists with certain types of skills to projects that really need their help.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Now, this is a question for both Ben and Ken from Sean Bertholf again. You mentioned cloud as a focus. I'm wondering your thoughts regarding how the Microsoft award pulled the rug out from Amazon will support the ability of the DoD to tap into cloud capabilities and efficiencies.
Ken, you want to take it?
Sure. So this is me speaking. It's my opinion. I do not, please keep that in mind. I don't believe that any one vendor should be the end all be all to this, right? So I don't think that the Jedi Contract Award should be so impactful to a point where it affects the DoD negatively. What we should, however, keep pushing forward to, and what I'm trying to do in the Navy right now, is to remain platform and cloud agnostic so it doesn't matter. So this goes back to my point about education and how the Defense Department should keep pushing on the idea of lethality. We should rely on industry partners. We shouldn't rely on industry technology per se. So that's what I've been pushing for. Ben?
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, just to double down on that, we the DIB has, since the start, talked about how important it is to have cloud and for everybody to understand how that works and how for us to be able to apply that better or to build programs on top of that. But in terms of the contract, we're definitely not going to touch that. We're just going to leave that alone. We hope that gets settled one way or the other. We just need the capability.
All right. It looks like a couple of the remaining questions, which first of all, thank you to the panelists that have been answering them, and please continue to do so if you feel like you can attack that. But there's definitely some people that are interested, Sean and Denzel Bridges, that are interested in getting connected with the DIB and you guys specifically. So whatever you feel comfortable with, would you mind answering those questions in terms of the best way to get in touch with you? I know, Ben, you threw out an email back there, but either in the chat so that other ways can people, or you can answer back in the Q&A. So this is just a general question, it looks like, for the whole group. So, I'll throw it into the food fight from Todd Wiseman. Can you share more about where and how you would like to see artificial intelligence focused? Topic near and dear to my heart. Do you have access to AI in your clouds?
Am I going first because I'm unmuted first?
Oh, I don't know. You are more than welcome to, Maggie.
You know what? I'm going to take it ladies' prerogative because there's only two of us, so somebody's got to talk. I will also say somebody asked me about what are the qualifications or requirements for joining NAVSEC Girl Squad, and I answered it privately, and I realize others may have questions about this. There aren't any. Ideally, you're not a Russian troll. You just head over to our website, read over the code of conduct, which is listed under the About page, and if that sounds good to you, congratulations, you're a member of NAVSEC Girl Squad. It's pretty easy. So I'm not going to talk about our cloud stuff, one, because I'm not the tech side of our house, and we are in the process of building a platform, and so I don't know, I'll ask. But how would I like to see AI focused? Shoot me for being a broken record. I don't care about AI until I know who's building it. Because the amount of times that people build things that are just not functional because they have no idea who they're building it for, and the team building it doesn't reflect anybody using it, blows my mind. I would love to see that change. So in terms of where and how I would like to see it focused, maybe focus on who's building it, why they're building it, and do they actually reflect the users? And are they aware of their own blind spots? And then I'll start thinking about how I'm going to work it into the new NAVSEC Girl Squad platform.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, UX is a topic near and dear to my heart, and ensuring you're connecting with your customer and solving the requirements for them. Certainly. Ken, Ben, do you have anything to add?
For me, just more by I twitch whenever I hear AI, that we don't have artificial intelligence, but I'll stop there. John's heard my rant about this a couple of times now. But yes and no. So there's always been some kind of algorithm and math-based solutions within the Navy and the DoD as a whole. I think the question that I want to start thinking about is how do I now move that workload to make it more widely accessible and highly scalable? That's the part I'm really focused in. So it's not so much whether or not I have AI access, it's whether or not can I make that workload successful in the paradigm of a cloud and have it widely available to all service members.
Yeah, and I'll just briefly add to that is that I don't think the DIB has kind of come down on saying that they want any specific application here or there. It's really about the overall capability and capacity. So one of our previous recommendations called the Campaign for an AI Ready Force. If anybody wants to go onto our website and check that out, we tried to emphasize that it's a holistic effort. It takes people, it takes technological infrastructure, it takes data, it takes the leadership and process and structure to be able to bring all those things together. So that's kind of the level that DIB is interested in, but in terms of specific applications, we tend to just leave that to the Jake and all the services.
Thanks, everybody. Maggie, you've got another question here. So what role does engaging in K-12 education play in addressing diversity issues?
So great question. And I was typing the response, but I'm happy to just say it out loud anyways. I'm not a fan of pre-professionalizing the future force or frankly the current force before we need to. And some of that is personal biases. I mean, I come from a liberal arts background. I have an undergraduate degree in economics and opera performance and 2 master's degrees, one from Georgetown School of Foreign Service and Security Studies and the other in opera. So I would have fallen through the cracks. And frankly, I think it makes me a better national security practitioner to be coming from someplace else. That being said, of course, NavalX Girl Squad is not a nonprofit, but there's an organization that I support and that we partner with a great deal called Girl Security. They're actually based in Boston, but they work directly with young girls, middle school through high school, the occasional elementary schooler, on educating them on what is national security and also better understanding what does national security mean to them. So an example of the work they do is they've created a cybersecurity badge with the Girl Scouts, which is incredible. So I think, you know, K through 12 education matters, but it's not the whole game, right? And making people, and especially kids and young adults, narrow their field of vision earlier and earlier is not going to fix our silo problem. And I say that because competent diversity is not the same as diversity. Diversity for the sake of diversity, diversity for window dressing doesn't fix our problem. We need people with diversity of experience, diversity of thought, diversity of skills. And it's exactly like that Spider-Man meme, right? Like literally every single one of those Spider-Man has the exact same strengths and the same weaknesses. So pre-professionalizing earlier doesn't help us.
Absolutely. As a father of someone who's recently worked on the cybersecurity badge, I thank you for supporting that effort. So that is excellent. We have a big question here from Sean Bertholf again. So he's just saying he participated last Thursday in the Defense Innovation Network Summit focused on COVID-19, and he was fascinated by Darwin AI, who are doing an open source thing utilizing their AI neural networks to not replace but supplement existing testing capabilities. So they basically pipe in chest x-rays and can utilize it to get smarter about the probability of COVID-19 infection, but also probably severity, if they will live or die, and how long they will need to be in the hospital. Results quicker and a great data point for the health practitioner. So he's wondering if the DoD has any desire to tap into this capability to support rapid screening of service members in high-risk areas. So a timely question. And if we don't have the purview on it, that's fine in this forum, but certainly if you have something to add to that, please do.
So as a Presidential Innovation Fellow, I actually am well aware of the open source Darwin AI they put on GitHub. And so we have cohorts in the VA. So right now I'm working with the VA to see if I can anonymize x-rays. So the problem right now is that the x-rays are tied to an identity, and we can't really just pass any PII over to an open source project, especially that we may not host. The other thing that I think I'm going to try to work with cloud.gov and 18F is to stand up an instance of the open source version of Darwin AI released to GitHub on AWS GovCloud that they control and the VPC that we can lock down, and hopefully work with the VA to start pushing the x-rays out, and we're going to try to figure out on that form. So I'm glad you asked that question. It's something I'm actually trying to tackle right now myself.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ken. Ben, Maggie, anything on that issue, or are we all good? This will be our last question for the current time frame.
I'll just say that maybe you want to re-ask that question for Zach Lucas from the Jake when he comes on during the next round, because he would be better placed within DoD than I would. But Maggie, you?
I mean, no, but I've been asked to just give a really quick little thing on the programming we're doing. NavalX Girl Squad goes antiviral, just to be clear about who's participating in that, both as speakers and attendees. It's open to all of you. Would love to see you there. In terms of those presenting, we've got everybody from current DASDs to former DASDs. We have two former SecDefs who are scheduled for the next 5 weeks. So it's really anybody and everybody in their small group sessions. So would love to see you all there.
Great. Ken, Ben, Maggie, thank you very much. This has been exhilarating. Ben, I think you have a couple of hanging chads in the Q&A tab. If you don't mind responding to them as to the best way to get in touch with the DIB. But again, thank you. Lucas, we'll pass it over to you.
Thanks again to everyone. I think one of the things that I've found in just hearing all the panelists today is the passion, and hopefully everyone out in the ether has gotten that too, just the passion that everyone has for their projects and their organizations, and really trying to push the Department of Defense and national security forward, be it through outside perspectives in AI and DevSecOps, or, making sure that we have a diverse workforce with, folks that do have a master's degree in opera, are able to take a hard look. In one of the courses, or both courses we teach actually, with the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting, diversity is a huge piece of it. And when you looking at something, making sure you have diversity and folks from across the spectrum to be able to answer those questions and provide their own unique perspectives. So thank you to all the panelists.